Back on the Chad Hasty Show, News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. Joining me on the phones right now, you hear them here on KFYO, 9 p.m. to midnight on Saturdays. It's Ark Midnight with John B. Wells, his website, caravantomidnight.com. John B. Wells, welcome to the Chad Hasty Show. How are you today?
Hey, Chad, I'm doing well. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. For folks who, maybe they have not tuned into your program yet, but they're going to after today, tell folks, one, a little bit about yourself, because you've had a great career in media. Tell folks a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your program.
Well, I'll go as quick as I can. I'm in my fifth incarnation here, I think. I started off in Dallas at rock radio at a famous station called, nicknamed The Zoo.
Yes.
The calls were ZEW. And then after that, I went straight into voiceover for about 25 years and wound up doing narrations on just all kinds of stuff all over the world. It was just really weird. We just went through the 50-year celebration of BBC Radio 1. I was on there during the heyday from 85 to 92, and then after that, I've been narrator for Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth, and all kinds of stuff. I worked the Late Late Show and this and that, and then after I did this big strike, and the voiceover business was never the same, and the margins got to be just really too low because there were so many people doing it. So I thought, I want to do something that's got a little bit more meaning, because the computer age, you didn't need a studio really, you didn't need an engineer, you could just do it all by email and send little files back and forth. Before long, I've been used to working with a crew, and now I'm just sitting there, with a computer, and I thought I'd like to do something a little bit more interesting. So I went and saw the old PD. I hadn't seen him in 20 years, and he turned out to be one of the wheels over at Premiere. And lo and behold, he handed me over to another guy, and I wound up doing Coast to Coast AM off and on for several years, just one show here and there. But then in 2012, they gave me the Saturday night slot, so I was there for all of 2012 and all of 2013. But my subject matter, they found, might have been a little bit, I was talking about stuff like the resurgence of global communism and stuff like that, and I don't think that really fit their mold that well. So despite the really high numbers, they sent me down the road, and I started Caravan to Midnight. It'll be 5 years we've been doing it on February 3rd, and it's I don't know what happened, but it's all over the world. We're in like 160 countries. I almost call them companies. I think that's what they really are, but people normally refer to them as countries. And it's just been a wild ride, and we were able to, with this program, put together a conference this past November to benefit the Legal Defense Fund of General Michael T. Flynn, and was able to go up there and be president of the Federal District Court of the District of Columbia, where nothing happened except the strangest thing ever, watching this judge just almost melt down because General Flynn would not withdraw his guilty plea. So he called a recess, and then he came back. He said it's going to be 30 minutes, and didn't come back for 45, and they shoved the sentencing date off until March 13. So it's the best job that I ever had. It's more than I ever hoped for, and just exactly what I wanted.
That's great, and congratulations on that. Your website, again, caravantomidnight.com, where listeners can find out so much more and enjoy different programs and live streaming and everything else. But, of course, Ark Midnight on Saturday nights between 9 p.m. and midnight. When you saw maybe the news last night or this morning, this BuzzFeed story about the president, obviously the powers that be and the national news media, they're celebrating this morning, saying that this is over, that the president's going to be impeached. What are your thoughts when you saw the BuzzFeed story and the reporting afterwards?
Well, are you talking about this thing with the polls and so forth?
Yeah.
Well, it's nothing that everybody else hasn't done. Ted Cruz did it himself. I think these people are dreaming. I really believe, this is probably going to sound a little radical for some, but I believe two things. Number one, I believe the deep state is CIA that controls everything. That's why you go to all these various networks, and they're not only running the same stories, the things that are coming out of their mouths are the same words in the same order that everybody else on these mainstream channels, with the sole exception of Fox News. they're all repeating the same thing. So that narrative's coming from somewhere. I believe that this president has so upset what has become a completely and totally corrupt government, complete with its very own little KGB. When you have the security services controlling the media, and when you have them doing whatever they want, breaking the law wherever they want, and that includes FBI. Look at all that stuff that Orr tried to give a heads up on, that FBI knew that this was this dossier was completely wonky, but oh no, the Strocks and the Pages and the Comeys and all of that, they just took it and ran. I think these people are absolutely terrified. And I don't think they're going to get rid of Mr. Trump at all. And I think if they try, they're going to have their hands full, because I don't believe the citizenry is going to put up with this. These people, you know.
Well, and I'll listen. I think that as of right now, what we're seeing from the left on bringing up their candidates and everything else, unless just something groundbreaking happens and there's actual proof. We haven't seen any proof of anything, anywhere, of any kind of wrongdoing from the president yet. Unless we see that, this president's on his way to re-election still to this day.
I believe you're entirely correct. I really do. The most frightening prospect is that Nancy Pelosi, isn't she number 3 in line for the presidency?
Yes.
Well, I think we should pray real hard that nothing happens to Mr. Trump or Mr. Pence, because if that lunatic wound up with holding the reins of that kind of power, I'm going to head for Borneo.
Now, okay, here's where I want to get your opinion on this. This is where, and I said this morning, I was a little tongue-in-cheek, but I think the president messed up yesterday, okay, John?
Yeah.
I think he should have canceled the transport when they were already overseas in Egypt or Afghanistan. That's when you cancel the transport. You don't do it when they're sitting on the tarmac in the United States, John. You wait till they're gone.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that would have been the ultimate tweak, but that would have been, can you just imagine the left would have been saying, that's just so mean. He's just mean.
Absolutely. Hey, John, tell folks, obviously you're on KFYO, 9 p.m. to midnight on Saturdays. Tell folks about your website, caravantomidnight.com.
Caravantomidnight.com. It's a membership service, and that way we dodge the corporate influence, and we don't risk offending any sponsors with our content. It is there are 1,051, I believe, episodes in archive right now, with people that you really want to hear from. Well, it was on our program that General Flynn revealed that, for example, that he was in a meeting for 4.5 hours. And, of course, after that, I'm pretty sure they decided to get rid of him. But so many people have been on there. Herb London, who's now deceased, and Tony Schaefer, many people that you'd recognize, but something more, people that you've never heard of, maybe, that have such rich things to bring to the party that it's like, we call it some people, I don't, but some people call it the University of Life. It's we just cover a broad spectrum of not just politics, because that gets old after a while, but education, space and technology, things like how does a B-2 bomber take off from Kansas and go over to the Middle East and then come back without stopping to refuel. These kinds of things are discussed on the program. So if you go to caravantomidnight.com, no numbers, no missing letters in midnight, just caravantomidnight.com, you can see what we do with these programs. And if you just put in an email address, you can get our daily news segments without joining, $60 a year. So it's cheap. It's really cheap, but it keeps us going, and it keeps us completely independent, which is what we need to be, independent.
John B. Wells, Ark Midnight, 9 p.m. to midnight, Saturdays here on KFYO. Caravantomidnight.com is his website. John, thank you for the time, and we'll visit with you down the road.
Thanks, Chad. God bless.
Have a good one. That's John B. Wells, host of Ark Midnight here on KFYO.